What is up, YouTube? Hope you all are blessed. I want to put this video out and share what our classes look like in the Discord. These are open to the public for now. That might change in the future, but for now, it's completely free. And so I'm going to upload this so you guys can see what the Wednesday class doing trade reviews and analysis with me looks like if you're a member of the Discord. And these happen on a weekly basis, both with the mentors of NPT, even some licensed financial professionals as well, to help you guys with your financial literacy and your self-growth when it comes to that journey. So we help with obviously trading options, futures, stocks, but also managing your Roth or your 401ks, helping with understanding life insurance, annuities, understanding cash flow, maybe even do business operations and all the taxes related with all of those things as well. And that's all provided to you for free in these classes if you are a Discord member. They happen on a consistent weekly basis so that you can work on your self-improvement. And as you see, there's not a lot right now, but we will be adding more in the future. Probably month to month, we'll be adding more mentors or teachers that will come and talk. I know we've got a real estate guy who's going to be joining here soon. And we also have a hedge fund manager who's going to be teaching some stuff as well. So we're adding new people and new teachers to the team. And all of this is free if you're just in the Discord, right? You don't have to actually pay to join you to get that. So check it out in the link down below. And the other thing I want to talk about before I throw you right into what that class looks like, as for one example of those, is I've been a little bit on a hiatus. There wasn't a weekly report, at least there wasn't a video for the weekly report. That's because my new baby boy was born on Thanksgiving, and I just taken just a little step away just to enjoy that time and the new life and taking care of him and mama. And I'll be back on the grind in no time, probably next week, making content and stuff. It hasn't. I've still been keeping up with the business. We're still trading. I'm still teaching these classes, obviously, but I was just taking a break from social media during this period of time, which I think most people understand. So it's been a life-changing and top experience of my life to be a father. So I'm super excited about that. Anyways, without further ado, I hope you enjoyed the class. I hope you learned something, and God bless. First thing I want to cover today was DDOG. Okay, this is a beautiful trade. This is actually very similar to the setup that we had on Meta, where you have this great opening drive and the reset on the RSI here. So like, this is very simple. This is actually in our playbook. By the way, for all pro members, you have access to the playbook, right? Where we see that the pre-market here, the stock is trading sideways. We get this quick reset where the RSI hits this overbought levels, but is still relatively overall still trending up from the day before. Then we have this nice consolidation here, this divergence that occurs where the RSI overall is trading in the sideways channel, but the stock is trending upwards, right? That gives another big move to the upside here. We have the same exact setup that came in for DDOG today, and this is, again, RSI resets in the morning. Just that. We get this slight drawdown in the stock, but it's still on this overall uptrend right here. And then we get this nice explosive move. RSI continues to trade sideways, but stock continues to go up, and we finish the day at a new high. This one was a little bit tougher because you actually have this like a reverse ascending triangle right here that kind of set up right there. If you could kind of see that right there. But this was a beautiful trade. We had the alert go off on the break of 158, looking for the 165. And that was just really simple. It was just based off the key levels here for the stock on the larger time frame here. So we were literally just looking for the break of this prior high. It's probably going to be a little bit easier to see with the extended hours off. Yeah, right there was about what I was looking for. Just looking for an extension further up. This is like tailwinds of a great earnings report. And then actually what was the driver for this to go higher was then after DDOG had a great earnings, Snow also had a great earnings, then CRM had a great earnings. CRM's earnings was really significant for the market today because what we heard As you can even see from the $40 move that we had here, there was huge demand in AI. So they hired a bunch of new employees for the AI, and this ended up being a driver. I actually thought it was odd that pretty much all day today we saw that NVIDIA was like at this sell off in the morning, but then we ended up seeing the rotation for out of names like Meta today and into NVIDIA. Which I was surprised that this wasn't bigger based off the CRM news. CRM, I think, could have an extension in tomorrow. You could have made an argument that there's a trade you can take kind of in this area during this RSI reset right here and still hanging over the EMA clouds right here. But I'm fine seeing if tomorrow we can get over this double top and then get in this cash into continuation here. The report was simply just that good that I do expect this to have a continuation for the rest of the day here. The other thing I want to talk about is Tesla. Tesla has been kind of just slowly taking money from me as we've go through this period. There was a big news driver, right? So we had the Delaware judge news. And that becomes like a negative drag on this stock as people kind of debate what their perspective is on this. I maintained a bullish perspective, and because of that, I kind of fought price action a little bit, looking for the gap back up. If you were following the chat, I said if we kind of get into this range, kind of like this chop range right here, that's where we could maybe see the explosive move through. We ended up getting right to that range into the close, finally getting paid. There was at one point, I was looking for this move to get into the trade, and then when we came up here, we were kind of testing the pre-market. This is actually when I entered my position, and then we took some pain today, but there's no reason to cut trades like this, and this is important to cover. Especially when we're talking about SMCI, this is a trade that's kind of like being a laggard. We also had like Roku kind of being a laggard, and I think Square was. Both of these are now paying very well. Square especially, which we can talk about in a moment. But when you get this like pullback right here, even though it's kind of breaking the EMA channels, you can see that there's multiple tests here on the lower end. And it might be kind of hard to see because of that wedge I have there, but we can see that we're still managing to set higher lows here on this stock, which makes me really confident. So even though that position went down, I think like 50%, we ended up selling it into the close for I think it was, I don't remember how many turns it was. It was good though. Let me see here. We closed that for 46%. But this one is another one where you're just following your key levels. You're being mindful of the flows, which were always good all day today. Also being mindful of, I think it's the monthly here that still looks incredible for Tesla, right? Like overall, the sentiment here is very extremely bullish. Like we're not even sort of overcooked on the monthly. This monthly can get 40 points higher before that's an exaggeration. It can get, I'd say, 25 points higher before I start getting worried about that. And the daily is starting to roll over here, but we see the RSI is just kind of consolidating. So it looks like, even though the TTM is kind of rolling over here, that this could just be prepping for another push. The other thing, so important, right? Delaware judge. This is the like negative catalyst that kind of pulled the winds out of the sails here, right? So what's the next thing that I'm looking for? Why am I like against like kind of fighting price action, keep buying highs? It's because I'm waiting for there's no reason to type it out, but what I'm waiting for is the headline of Elon's lawyers are reapplying, basically, and they're seeking retribution, and they'll probably win that court case, and then it will pull through. That is my expectation. The market and the social medias kind of saw this as a negative catalyst. I don't think there's any world in existence where Elon's top tier lawyers did not foresee that outcome and kind of already have a plan. Because if I know it and I'm not even a lawyer, like if I was already anticipating that, there's no way they're not already anticipating that and kind of have a plan for how it would go. So because that catalyst can cause this stock to have a 10, 15 point move, I'm staying bullish. And I think even after that news, the reason why this has been so resilient and kind of held these key levels is because generally all the big investors here are aware of that news as well. So I really wanted to cover those two today. We could take a look at SMCI a bit here. Before we do that, I do want to ask, does anyone have any questions here? Does that opening drive trade, the RSI divergence, rip off the open make sense to everyone? Because it's such a simple trade, and it's so good when you get it. This is so repeatable. Does that make sense to everyone here? I'm watching the chat, guys. Can I get a 1? Just type a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. If you're still a little confused, we do have a full explanation of it in our playbook for the pro members. .5. Okay. Kind of half understand. Do you want to tell where is the confusion coming? Because I'd love to make sure that we're kind of clarifying what's going here. Abraham put a 4. Okay. Okay, so let's do a comparison then, if we're still confused. You see how RSI is kind of just trending here, and this stock is just trending sideways? There's no divergence here, right? RSI gets overbought, then the stock comes back down, it reacts to it, and they're just kind of trending together through this channel. Whereas here, we have a huge divergence. The RSI is resetting to a really oversold level, but the stock from the last time it was at this level is up. It's clearly trending up. This is a divergence. This divergence can be seen as a resetting in the RSI where buyers can pump it up. So then the buyers come up, they pump up the stock. And then again, we see the RSI hit a really oversold level, but again, the trend is still a monster. And you can watch flows in tandem with this if you want extra confirmation as well. But this tells you, well, okay, this can melt up a whole lot more due to these resets that we're getting on the stock. Through here, it's a bit tougher. Meta would be a better example of how you can just get a continuation all day and how you can read that from the RSI. Resets, and this keeps pushing higher. But it still works even here for DDOG. I just lost it. There we go. Right? That's a lot of lines. It's a lot of mess. I just need to start. Noob said that's 4 1s. I just need to study RHI divergences more. Yeah. It can be hard to kind of see this when it appears, but it's so good. It works especially well for the opening drives, and for both of these, you want a good catalyst. DDOG's catalyst would be the CRM news. Same with Snow today. We caught Snow. The DDOG alert went off, but I was keeping track of some other trades. But every time you get that, it's a beautiful trade. If you hit DDOG today, you're done, right? You're catching a 7-point move on a volatile stock. This is probably 150%. You hit that one trade, you just let it sit, and then you go take a nap, and then you're done for the day. Really easy peasy trade there. Anything? So is there anything anyone else wants to cover? Should we cover SMCI a little bit? We also have this beautiful, this is just a classic ascending triangle for those who are unaware of these. This is one I called out. I shared it where, clearly you get the big pull up on the stock. You then get this formation right here and you just play the break. If you're playing it with futures, you cut. If it goes underneath this triangle right here, if you're in options, you actually cut when it breaks the bottom. Very simple, because it can get a false breakout and then kind of touch the bottom and then still bounce out. But if you're on futures, obviously you can't. Depending on the size of it, you most likely can't hold all the way down. So then you would just use it. You would just retake the entry here if it broke out again, which might lead to, racking up some fees and some chop. But as you can see, when you get the continuations out of these, they're usually pretty good. The larger they are, the better they are. the more you should be willing to kind of chop in and out of it. And if it's smaller, then you can just take it out of the bottom, right? It's so simple. And you're going to see these all the time in bull markets like this. Does that make sense? Can I get some ones in the chat? Ascending triangles. Makes sense, right? Yeah? One? Cool. Cool. So simple. You could have missed the whole day. And, you know, if you're trading futures, you still print money here, right? So easy. Yeah. You could have missed all this the whole day, not done anything, been a little nervous. And then you just see this formation here. You just take it and you're good. You could have also played the ping pongs. Yes. Do we have any questions though? Anything you guys want me to cover today? We've been trading. I've been very active this week. Sorry about this, wanting me to reset all these connections. It's because I am working off several different devices today as I take care of the kiddo. I'm like moving back and forth from my laptop to my desktop, and I have a million tabs open on both, so it throws a fit. Look at Boeing? Sure, I can look at Boeing. I haven't looked at Boeing in a while. Looks like we got a nice bounce out of the hole here. I'm going to need to pan out. It's actually coming up to an old key level I had, coming in and testing this low right here. The first thing that stands out to me is I want to see if it's going to maybe pop up and fill that to the upside. That looks like it's another consistent key level. You can maybe even move this up just slightly to that low, that high there. Your relative volume is over 1, which is good. I wonder if it's picking up some steam because of the Korean headlines. We can see that we're green on the daily. Let's see if we have some overlap with the weekly. The weekly is starting to get more bullish here. If your RSI gets a nice pop here, it can make another move higher as well. Okay, let's kind of pan in here. Look at the 1 hour. So I'd say that's a level I look at. Higher high established. Potentially, even if you get over, this might be one where you can over yesterday's highs, might be worth playing. Like if we can break over this. That might be worth reviewing tomorrow. That is looking pretty good though. You got like a nice little double top there. You might be able to get a good continuation. A nice reset. Volume starting to pick up here. Was that the same on the 15? Same on the 15? Boeing ended the worker strike, appointed a new CEO, and raised funds by issuing substantial stock amounts. Huh. All right, there's some bullish headlines here. So it looks like it's not related to war. Boeing looks interesting. You got this really nice triple top here. If we can break over that tomorrow, I'd be willing to take this. Probably buy some 160s and then look for that gap fill to the 174 over a longer time period. Yeah, you have some really wide ranges over that level, over that 163. Yeah, pretty much every time you get over that level, you at least get eventually some sort of test up. At least almost to that 174. So like, yeah, I would take that over the one. Yeah. So what's this at the 160? Take it over 160. Take profits at 163, 167, 174. It's very simple. I like that. Do target too. We can look at target. Restore. Ew. What happened to Target? Oh, this is really gross. Is this setting up like a little formation there? That breaks this downside channel. It's a short. Weekly just fired to the downside, and the daily's on the downside, which usually means that you're probably gonna get a break to the downside here, though. You see that there on the TTM, on the weekly, with the daily also being bearish like this. It might chop a little bit and then probably break to the downside, is what I'd say. Based off what this looks like. Which would make sense too. Fundamentally, we're seeing that jobs aren't that great unless you work for the government right now. Let's look at this on the shorter time frame here. I mean, you just have this huge gap fill. That looks really tempting to try and see if you could fill this gap fill. That's a big move to the upside. Gosh, what a mess the stock is. Let's set some levels here. See what it looks like. We've got, that's not even a level. What a nightmare this is. I'd set that there. I mean, honestly, I'd set this here, and I would actually just get rid of this because there's too much noise in it. I'd set that right there. The high here. You do have one more level up here higher. You do have one more. You probably have, yeah, you probably. You got one more right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like a bunch of consolidation at these, and then it pushes higher. That's a bunch of noise, though. Is volume really low? I mean, look at that relative volume. It's literally at 0.35. So, I mean, this could have a really wide range just on low liquidity. Oh, potential. So Target wants to buy Roku? What? Oh. That's interesting. That'll probably be, if they had a bad earnings and then they buy Roku, that might be the driver for why it goes down more. That could be your downside catalyst. What's crazy is how Walmart is doing well is doing while Target is getting destroyed. It's really not that crazy, though, when you pay attention to the companies. Target can't get online deliveries to work at all, and Walmart is more diversified in healthcare and stuff. They're way sturdier. Yeah, if you do some analysis on the businesses, it makes sense why Walmart would be crushing Target. I would have a poors like me shop at Walmart too. I don't handle Walmart, man. Walmart can be great. Aldi's is amazing too. If you want cheap prices, Aldi's. It's hard to beat Aldi's. And they redid all the Aldi's around my area. I shop at Costco though. I buy in bulk because I don't like going to the grocery store. Saves me trips. Okay, we're getting off topic, guys. We got any more things that you want to talk about? Did we learn anything? Was this a good review? A good use of time? Do we want to talk about SMCI? We could talk about SMCI a little bit if you want. for some comments down there. So the big thing, like, we made a bunch of money on SMCI just slowly rolling up here. I learned that Josh is smart and I'm regarded. Reading Chinese over here. That's that Reddit talk there. So SMCI was really tough the last few days. If you weren't being really nimble, and I've had to be really nimble with it, with rolling the contracts as we come up. We could see that pretty much. I mean, when we scan out here and we even do just something simple as like, let's measure our retracement here. You know, we clearly have what looks to be this kind of pattern here developing, right? It's kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave pattern developing. We also see like perfect retracements here for like an inner structure right here. And I know this might be missing. Some of you guys might be missing this, but we have a full class on Elliott waves. So we have a perfect back test to the 1.618. We're still clearly in this like trend to the upside, right? We still have this very clear trend, which means I want to continue to keep exposure. So I sometimes take, 1 second, let me turn this off. Sorry about that. I'm taking some pain, kind of like coming in and buying the dips here, but then we get the big moves, these big one-sided moves. Everyone piles in, and then trades that are down like 40% come right back to life, or even more. And I'm continuing to roll up with the profits. I roll the position with a portion of the profits after we hit like key levels. The most recent key level we hit was at this 46 level here. We had this like double top form. We really needed over that. Then we could have filled the gap here. Obviously we have this like huge gap like right here that we're looking for it to be filled. So we want to fill that, go up to the 50. I think it's actually like 149.80 or something. And so I'm looking for that to be filled all the way to the upside. Obviously the huge catalyst driver for why this is so appealing is we had a huge reversal. So it turns out no longer fraud, right? And we even saw new partnerships be made, you know, no longer fraud. They're not fraud. They're just incompetent. So be it. Management's incompetent, but engineers seem great. So I can deal with that, right? So that's the kind of company that can start to have a turnaround. Can you guys not? Could you guys not hear me? Can you hear me now? What did we miss? What was the last thing you heard? Sorry, guys. I guess my headset went off. Been like 1 minute when you got that phone call. Oh, okay. I must have bumped my headset when I got that phone call. The reason I started trading this from the lows was we got the big headline. It was like probably like right around here. We got the headline that they were no longer fraud. They got their paperwork in. They're not going to get delisted. Then we also got another headline about a partnership with NVIDIA, which makes my brain goes to, okay, either manipulation where big boys want to get in super cheap and the stock will rally all the way back up, or it's something even dumber where management is just incompetent, but the engineers are good. And that's a turnaround story that could occur. And so I start playing and I start hunting for us to fill this gap back to the upside. Gap is more obvious if we go to regular trading hours. You can see this big open zone right here. We can get that gap fill here. Then, you know, above the 48, maybe look for another gap fill here, another gap fill here. Like this thing could quickly go back to 64, which is where it kind of puts us when we cover the fibs earlier. So if I just hit this button enough, we can go back and look at those fib patterns here, and you get that fib extension. That is not the right one though. That is this retracement. Obviously we get the retracement at the 618, right? which makes me keep into the trade. I'm just looking for this to finally get a push over the highs. I think we feel the 50. And then if we look for extension for where we think we could go, we'll use a fib extension tool. We'll come from the lows down here to the first major retracement there. And that brings us to the 164. So that's what I'm looking for there on a longer time frame. Makes sense? That makes sense? I don't know why it deleted that. Can I get some ones in the chat if that makes sense? We did about a half hour here, guys, of chatting stuff, covered some stocks. I don't really... By the way, Target is not really something I would trade here until it... I wouldn't even probably like it over the highs. This thing just looks like a mess. If there was a headline, some sort of driver, like if this news came out and it actually broke this like much larger trend right here to the downside, then I might take a short here, but I would probably still even play small. I'd be way more apt to trade Roku, which we're already in, by the way, because of rumors of a buyout. I just didn't know that Target was one of the potential buyers, according to the rumors. I just heard that from Needham. Any other questions? If there's no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and close it out, guys. We learned something? Can I get some ones in the chat if we learned something? Is this helpful? Anything on UNH after the CEO got unalived this morning? I don't think so. I haven't looked at it. That's not something I typically would try and trade. This thing's too big. It's too big. One guy dying isn't enough to take this thing off. He wasn't also like an Elon or something, you know. The company doesn't hedge on him. It's just an operations guy. It's going to sound really heartless, but there's a lot of those. He's not like some integral engineer with some special knowledge that keeps the company alive. We're going to call it then. I don't see any new questions. Everything good here? All right. We're going to call it a good for a class, guys. Thanks for coming. We'll do these every week.